Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we have another episode of our film fan community, and today I'm joined by my friend Anthony from Anthony's Gaming.
How's it
His
going?
his link will be down below. Go ahead and check out his channel. It's very cool. It's about gaming. Anthony, what do you got going on in your channel right now for people to check out really quick?
So right now, the last thing I did was a video critique on the new Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and coming next week is on a game called Demon Souls.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely check out his channel, guys, if you have a chance. But today we're going to be learning about Anthony's movie attributes and what he likes about movies, maybe what he doesn't even like about movies. And we're just going to learn a little bit about him. So let's go ahead and get started. Anthony, first question up. What are some of your favorite movies?
So my list is I not that long ago I wrote down a list of anything like I've always liked and actually put it in a top 10 list. And over the years, been adding, changing it up. And lastly, so in general, some of my favorite movies ever is Goodfellas, which is right now probably my favorite movie of all time. You got Pulp Fiction, There'll Be Blood, Mad Max Fury Road is by far quite possibly one of the best movies I've ever seen, best action movie, and they even use practical effects through most of that movie. And kind of an underrated one to me is Blade Runner 2049. I freaking love that movie and everything about it. I'll say one other movie that I freaking love is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I've seen that movie at least 6 times, and I watched when I first came out, or when I first was able to watch it. I watched it 4 times in 1 week because I wasn't feeling that well, and I just kept turning it back on.
Dude, crazy story about Spider-Verse. So when the first trailer came out, I hated the way the animation looked, and I kind of just thought, oh, it's a kids movie. So I ignored it. And then when it came out, a couple weeks went by, it had really good critic scores, and people online were talking about it. So I went and checked it out. I went by myself to watch it actually, and
Really,
I loved it. It was awesome. I bought it when it came out.
it is a fantastic movie that everyone needs to see, no matter what.
Yeah, it's really not a kids movie.
No,
It's good. It's a good movie.
yes, sir.
All right, so we talked about some favorite movies. Now, in the year of 2020, a lot of stuff got pushed into 2021, some stuff even into 2022. This is kind of a big question, but what are some upcoming movies that you're really looking forward to?
I really, really want to see the new 007 movie. I forget the name escapes me for some reason. I just remember that it was
No
supposed to come
Time to
out.
Die.
Yep, and everything about that trailer seemed fantastic, and I've been dying to see that movie. Another movie that's coming out, I think it's coming out now near Christmas time, is the new Monster Hunter movie, which they're basically adapting the video game into the movie with the same people that did the Resident Evil movies. And I have a feeling that movie's going to be terrible, but I need to see it. And on top of that, the Batman movie that's coming out with is it Robert Pattinson?
Yep.
And that movie, I watched that trailer like 5 times in a row. It leaked out, and I watched that trailer too, and I cannot wait for that movie.
All right, so there is a whole bunch of movies and a bunch of movie series that is beloved by everyone, but as you know, film is subjective. So are there any movies or movie series that most people will agree are liked by the general audience, but they just don't do it for you and you're not that big a fan of it?
All right, well, I'm going to apologize ahead of time for this list and for anyone that will probably hate me because of this list. So the first one is I'm not a huge fan of the new Spider-Man movies. I don't like the direction that they took Spider-Man. I
Really?
think they're enjoyable. They're enjoyable movies to watch. They're summer movies, and I've only seen each of them one time, and each of them I'm like, that was fine, but it's no, it's not what I want from. I don't. He doesn't need a babysitter. He doesn't need any of this stuff. I just don't like them. Next is I don't really care for the Rocky movies. There's something
Really? Okay.
about them. I enjoyed the not the technically the sequel that came
Creed?
out with Michael, yeah, with Creed with Michael B. Jordan. I thought those were fine. I watched them not that long ago, and I enjoyed those. But I sat through Rocky 1 and 2, and I'm like, this is just fine. It's not my take. And then there's A Quiet Place. People love that movie, and I'm sorry, I this one I no, they're wrong. That movie is beyond boring to me.
Wow.
And part of the reason why I dislike it is that they show the monster way too early. So you already know what it's about, and the whole time is just you're staying quiet, nothing's happening. However, the sequel does look good.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, I like all the movies that you said that you're not a fan of, but hey, you know what? Like that's just movies, man. Like it's just gonna affect everyone differently. I'll
100%.
I'll make you feel better because I'll say a movie that I don't like that everyone loves, and Lord of the Rings. I don't like I don't like Lord of the Rings.
I have the collection sitting right over there.
Yeah, I
I
can't get
think
into
they
it, man.
are a tad too long, but I can 100% understand when someone says they do not like that movie series.
I
100%
just
understand it.
I can't get into it. I've tried. It's been a couple years since I've seen the movies, but right now I got too many other things on my docket to watch before
I
I
doubt
try to
that
rewatch them.
series. It'll take an entire week to get through that series. You can wait.
All right, next up, what are some of your favorite actors and or actresses?
I think Tom Hardy is fantastic. I have yet to see him do bad at any role he's done,
Yeah, he's a good one.
and he gets some shit for the movie Venom, but I think Tom Hardy is fantastic. Ray Liotta is all going to be on my list forever because I freaking love Goodfellas, and he pulls that personality of chaotic to any movie role that he plays. Matt Damon, he could just kind of camouflage into any movie and you won't even realize it. He's always going to be known for the Bourne movies
Yeah,
and that or The Martian because that movie
The Martian
picked
was
up like crazy. And lastly is Morgan Freeman. He's amazing. You can't go wrong with Morgan Freeman.
the next question I have for you is what type of genre movies are you more into?
So the two like that I will watch no matter what, even if it's bad. I don't. I see that it's this movie and I watch it and it's horror and thriller. I something about being scared, even though it's just kind of a roller coaster through going through something. I just love that aspect. And then you got the thriller genre, which like there's some that not everyone likes because they think it gets boring, but I like just the building of suspense all the way through, like with the movie Zodiac and Silence of the Lambs. I'm sorry.
Oh, Silence of the Lambs, yeah.
Yeah, with Anthony Hopkins, like that, like something about those types of movies, like I can, even if it's bad, even if it's poorly rated, I just go on Netflix, I see horror and click it.
So the good thing that I think about you liking horror and thriller is those two genres a lot of the times intertwine with each other.
Yep.
That's a good thing about you liking and enjoying those genres the most is because you could be watching a horror movie and like your heart will just be beating not from fear but just from suspense. So I asked the same question to my last guest, Hannah, but it's just something I'm really curious about because I know I'm in the minority, but I just want to double check that I'm in the minority. Do you prefer the home theater experience or the movie theater experience to watch a brand new movie? Because if it's a movie I've seen already, I'd rather watch it at home. But if it's something new I haven't seen, theater all the time. But I'm wondering, what about for you?
So earlier this year, I started going to the movie theater way more often than I used to, and I would go almost once a week or every other week, and that made me realize how much the movie theater actually changes the movie experience to the point where there's also like 40X or D box, and that kind of changes the entire experience of a movie altogether. When you're at a movie theater, unless you're a jerk, you have to pay attention to the movie the entire time. It Nothing really beats it. However, I think in 5 to 10 years, if nothing keeps changing drastically, I think the movie theaters will be gone altogether. But it's something that you can't really beat because once it goes away, people will miss it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know about 10 years and maybe a little bit more than that, but if things keep going the way they are, and with the deals that Universal made, if other studios follow suit, then theaters are in trouble. But we won't know until time. Time will tell. But when you're watching a movie, what are your typical movie snacks that comfort you and put you in the mood for the movie?
So I got to this thing where I used to buy kind of family size M&Ms, And I M&M is my go-to snack for most things. And when I'm watching a movie, it's always M&Ms for some reason,
Peanut or regular?
just regular, because I feel like peanut gets to be a bit too much.
Well, see, when
And
I eat the peanut, I feel like I'm eating something healthy, and I forget about the chocolate and the sugar.
oh, I don't. If I'm eating a snack, I don't want to feel healthy. I just if I'm having a snack, no, pig out all the way.
So, next question I have for you is cliches that are in movies that when it happens on the screen, you notice it right away and it just kind of takes you out of the movie and it kind of just bugs you. So, anything that comes to mind for cliches.
So one of the biggest cliches that gets kind of overlooked, or it's also kind of the crux of some movies, is I really don't like coincidences. I also don't like the one aspect of some movies where only one person can do something. We cannot get past it with this. Like some movies can get around it if they play it right, but usually it's just like we can't give the only this one guy can fix this one problem.
The
There's no one else in
chosen
the
one.
world.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, essentially the chosen one.
I got three. They're really stupid, but it just bugs me. I got three things that annoy me. One, I don't know why, but when two people are talking on the phone, and oh, I just thought of another one. But when two people are talking on the phone and like they make a plan and then they just hang up and like they don't say bye or they
Yes,
don't
I
say they don't say well what time or they just hang up and it's like okay I know I can telepathically sense when I have to show up. Like I hate that. I hate when two people like meet in the supermarket or whatever and he's like oh like can I pick you up on Friday for dinner? Yeah, and then they go their separate way. Like I hate that so much. And I also hate when someone can hack into a system in like under 30 seconds on their laptop in a van. It's small stuff, but it's everyone has something that bugs them about a movie. So, what are some underrated movies that you think people should either check out for the first time that maybe they haven't heard of it, or maybe they should give it a second chance? Because I there's movies I've watched 5 years ago I didn't like, and I'll watch it again, and maybe I was in a bad mood watching it the first time, and now I like it. So, what are there any movies that you can suggest?
so for one of them, this is for people that like horror movies, and this movie is kind of like I want to say underrated, or at least it doesn't seem very widely known, and it's called Creep. The guys have a video camera, and he goes to this guy's house, and they just do a documentary, and it shortly turns into a thriller and a horror movie. The ending to this day is stuck in my head because that movie seems way too real with how they ended it. It might not be too underrated, but Amazing Spider-Man. I think people should go back and watch Amazing Spider-Man and realize what they lost when they switched over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because Andrew Garfield is quite possibly next to Tom Holland better than one of the best Spider-Mans I've seen, and he's they should bring him back one day. And next is Dread. This was a remake to Judge Dredd that came out, I think came out around 2010 or so. Bombed at the box office. That movie did terrible. A friend of mine recommended it to me, and I watched it. First time I watched it, I'm like, this is fine. I watched it again that same day after just relaxing for a little bit and kind of fell in love with that movie. And lastly is people kind of hate on it is the newer Godzilla remake. I freaking love that movie a lot.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that one.
It is uh the every single shot where Godzilla comes back in the frame, I freaking love it. I understand why they chose the human aspect of that movie where these giant things are happening in the background. I kind of like that more than what they usually do where it's just him fighting other monsters,
Mhm.
which they did at the end, but I thought the whole mysticism of Godzilla being around played to that movie's role.
Are there any movies that you've watched that you either didn't like, and then when you watch it again, you do like it, or vice versa? You really like the movie the first viewing, watch it again, not so much. An example would be Avengers: Age of Ultron. I Yeah, no, I didn't like it the first time I saw it, but every time I watch it, I like it more and more, and I really like the movie now. I like it more than the original Avengers movie. It's a good movie. I don't know why I didn't like it the first time. So, are there any movies that have done that for you?
So I don't know if you can kind of see it over my head a little bit. Batman vs Superman.
Oh yeah,
That poster's kind of just there.
I can see Ben Affleck's chin.
Yep. That movie. I I went into that movie going to hate it because everyone said like this movie's just terrible. I went in, I'm like, yeah, you're right, this movie's not good. Then I watched it again, I'm like, this movie's kind of underrated that people are just kind of going off on. I'm like, this movie is entertaining all the way through. It has some missteps for sure, but I thoroughly enjoyed my second time through. Same thing with Justice League. But the biggest one for me is the first Captain America, the first Avenger, and also Thor. I thought those movies were just boring all the way through. They weren't like my superhero movies that I wanted to see. And then I rewatched it again after watching all of the MC universe and going back. I'm like, man, seeing how these characters like kind of grew into themselves and seeing how they grew even just in one movie kind of made it justifiable to where I watched it again. I'm like, you know what? These are kind of better than some of the other movies. They're better than Iron Man 3.
Moving on to the next question, though. This one is kind of a tough question, but whoever answers it, whether it be you or my next guest or whoever, there's going to be a clear divide. Do you believe that movie roles should not be recast after the actor has retired the character, i.e., something like Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr., and Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman?
100% yes, because
Yes, that
people.
they should not recast
No,
them.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, they should let other people have a chance of doing that role. There's a whole bunch of other actors that are just wanting to try and spread out and try something different. Same thing like Batman. You have one every like set amount of years, and it kind of shows like, hey, we like this Batman. This one did some good things here and
Some are
there,
good, some are bad. Yeah,
and letting other people go ahead and do it is kind of it's better for the industry altogether. Like you look at 007, they recast that every set amount of years, and every single one, people like it or don't like it, and they keep the series fresh by doing that, and that needs to happen more often.
true. Yeah, I believe that that all roles. Hey, I love Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, but within 10 years, yeah, give me a new Iron Man. Like, I mean, let's just see what a new person can do with that character. They might do something different. Stuff like that. Yeah,
And very quickly, you look at how we have in our lifetime three different Spider-Men,
yeah,
excluding the cartoons or anything, and all of them do it very differently, and everyone likes
they're
one
all
of them
very
over the
different.
other.
Yeah, everyone has their favorite Spider-Man. Yeah, because they're all different. So that was the final question that I have for you, Anthony. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the floor over to you to quickly ask me a couple questions that you may not know about my movie habits.
So this is one that I like asking anyone that watches movies. Like I wouldn't say it like analytically, or like they observe more stuff. And like, so what is your favorite filming technique or like camera movements that is done in movies?
So when you sent me this question that you were going to ask me this is the last question that I actually answered because I really had to think about it. I had to think about the different types of camera techniques that directors use and pinpoint which one that I was drawn to. And after thinking about it, I came to the conclusion that I really enjoy long shots. Stuff like James Bond did with Spectre. I don't like the movie Spectre, but that opening shot when they're in Mexico, it's like what, a 5 minute shot of
Yep.
following James Bond. That was awesome. And 1917, that was a good movie. And they did something completely different with following those characters the whole entire time. And I loved it. It was awesome.
If you ever go back and watch Goodfellas, they did one of the best ones ever, and that's when they go into the kitchen, into the restaurant, where it follows them all the way through.
Mhm.
So this is something that's been coming up in my mind throughout the time as time goes by. And do you think practical effects will eventually go away?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think that they're going to entirely disappear. I think that it's going to be like waves, that they're going to be used in certain movies, and then we're going to see a couple years where they're not used so much. We kind of already saw that in some older movies. Practical effects were used all the time, and then computer animation became more relevant. So you kind of saw practical effects go away because we had this new technology. And nowadays we're still seeing practical effects in movies. So the older movies I'm talking about that did a really good job with the practical effects are stuff like Jaws, American Werewolf in London, John Carpenter's The Thing, and of course Star Wars. So I think that certain filmmakers having being so relevant that they are in today's context will push that influence for practical effects. Filmmakers like Christopher Nolan, he loves practical effects. He used a lot in Inception for the hallway fight, and people like Quentin Tarantino, when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, for those exterior shots of Hollywood, they actually redid Hollywood Boulevard to look like the 70s. They didn't need to do that, but they did. And a recent project that has captured a lot of people's hearts is Baby Yoda in The Mandalorian. Now, obviously, for like longer shots, action shots, they use CGI for him, but he's a puppet. People have fallen in love with a puppet. Seeing The Mandalorian use practical effects like that gives me hope that at least for right now, we're not going to lose practical effects because people like Jon Favreau want to keep incorporating them in projects.
What are your favorite B movie or low budget movies?
Okay, so my favorite movie franchise is Evil Dead, the Evil Dead franchise. Now, each Evil Dead movie, they got more money and, it became a cult classic, stuff like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and classify the first Evil Dead as a B movie because that was made on an extremely low budget and it kind of, kickstarted everything. So that's going to be the first one that I recommend. Speaking of Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell, Bubba Hotep. Have you seen that? Oh, he
No, it's
plays
on my list.
he plays Elvis Presley in a nursing home that fights a demon. So,
Yep.
what more could you want? And then we talked about John Carpenter earlier. They Live. I don't, these are questionable. I don't know if you want to, I classify it as a B movie. I don't know if you
It
want to.
is. It
Yeah.
is.
Okay. So They Live, Big Trouble in Little China. I love that
Definitely a B
movie.
movie. All right. So, do you think movie remakes can eventually not become frowned upon?
So I'm in the mindset that I believe any movie is eligible for a remake because you know what? If they remake the movie and it sucks, they tried something different, and you know what? I never have to watch it again. I have the original that I love, Total Recall. They remade Total Recall. I didn't like it, but you know what? I watch the Arnold one every year, and I just forget that the remake happened. So stuff like that. And you know what? And if the remake comes out and it's really good, then I have two movies of the same franchise that I love. So I think that any movie is eligible for a remake. And a cool fact is when they remake a movie, if you look at rental sales for the original, they always get a little boost.
Yep.
So that's never a bad thing. But I just don't think that remakes will never not be frowned upon. Even though I think everything is eligible, I think that there's a larger group of people that even the mere mention, they are just turned off from the movie. They won't even give it a shot. All right, let's say they're going to remake Shrek and they say, I don't know, Tom Cruise is going to be the new voice of Shrek. Okay. There's no trailer or anything. It's just an announcement. There's going to be people that will not even give that movie a chance when it comes out. They just instantly hate the idea.
So, what made you choose to follow the movie industry over other entertainment industries in general?
So I don't think that I chose my love for movies. I think that it chose me. Being interested in movies and saying movie quotes and reading about movies, I've always done that. I've always been interested in that, especially true story movies. whenever I watch a true story movie, I always instantly go and like fact check everything and see and try and learn what wasn't on the screen, or just saying movie quotes all the time and thinking of different scenes. It's just something I've always done even as a little kid. And now my love of movies has extended from that, because now I have a YouTube channel that mainly talks about movies, and I'm having so much fun doing this. It's a blast. I'm meeting new people. I wouldn't have met you without doing this. It's just, I don't know. I don't think that I chose it. I think it chose me.
I I'm 100% the same exact way when it comes to at least the video games, where I started seeing it, and then eventually it's like I need to experience more and more.
I
It's
look
it's
up box
something.
office stuff. Even before this YouTube thing, I would always check in on the box office and see how much a movie made. And like normal people, I don't think do that. Like,
Nope. No one knows the numbers.com by their mind,
yeah, it's yeah,
or have it bookmarked like I do.
yeah. Or
And
like movie news. I every day
yep,
I'm checking movie news. It's just it's what I'm interested in, man. I love it. I love it.
at least you got a really good hobby then.
Yeah. There could be worse ones. Yeah.
Yeah, to be a crackhead.
That's definitely a worse hobby. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's either movie industry or crackhead pick.
yeah, you only got two choices.
Yeah,
There's no middle. So that's going to do it for our interview, Anthony. I learned a heck of a lot about you with your movie habits, and I hope everyone watching, either now or in the future when you watch it, I hope that you guys learned a lot about us with our movie habits too. So, Anthony, once again, where can everyone find you online?
I'm at Anthony's Gaming on YouTube. I do video game reviews, critiques, and analysis, and they usually try and pop up once every other week or so. Right now, that's the schedule I'm going for right now, and that's where you can find me.
So that's going to end for today's video. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your day to watch us or listen to us. And I hope to see you next time.